Okay, great. Thank you all very much. Good morning. So we're going to start off with Pat Parker, and we'll be talking in tandem about Koshiki no kata, which is the ancient kata of the Kito-ryu Jiu-Jitsu, right?
That's right.
And then it became the Kodokan thing that the old guys would do and nobody ever saw anymore. And then Miyake came and taught it in Houston in 1997. Left that gi behind up there. And it stimulated me to turn back towards it later because of the way that it is the influential stuff that forms our form of Aikido. And so if you need a good reason for why you should bother with this thing, well, because it's like the kata. It's like from way back in the day. So start us off. You've got a different take on it you've been messing with lately, and it looks wonderful. So
I'm from Mississippi, so nobody's ever accused us of doing the thing the right way. In fact, this is like the most advanced thing that there is in judo, so I took it and said, why don't I teach it to my kids? And we've had fun with it. About a year or so ago, I got to lamenting and griping online about how the only thing that we can find about Kito now is Koshiki no kata. And Peter Sensei writes me back and says, why don't you do your search in Japanese characters? And I'm like, I don't write Japanese characters. So he sends me a bunch of searches, and I do the searches on YouTube and come up with some guys in Japan that have a study group. And Eric Pearson wrote them a note and asked, what is it you're doing and what's the deal? And they said, we have a study group with Yoshinori Kono Sensei as our leader, and they dug up some ancient text on Kito, and they're just working through it. And got to looking at it, and it just blew our minds because it was so flowing and relaxed. Whereas the Koshiki no kata that we're used to, the guys pretend like they're in armor, and so they move around like this. These guys were flowing and falling softly. So we've played with this thing for a year or so and using it as sort of a warm-up toward Koshiki no kata, some of the ideas. Let's get a crash pad. I like doing this stuff on crash pads. First, because I've been doing it with kids mostly. Also, because it's good exercise. The crash pad eats your energy and forces you to exert to get yourself out of the crash pad. The first of these, let's rearrange a little bit so that I can face the right direction. All right, Whit. So the first of this, the guy's facing off to the side, as in Koshiki no kata. They've come in and bowed, and this guy has turned and stepped a few steps this way. This guy comes up and puts alien tentacle suckers on your belly button and your back. The deal with these suckers is when he grabs my belt and I throw myself at the ground and it twists up in his claw there, it's going to turn him on his head. Right? So these things release and make it a nicer exercise. All right, and that's the extent of the warm-up for number one, which I call the Spider-Man pose. The feet don't move. My right knee goes to the ground as I throw a sucker on his kidney or his lat. Okay? Let's, we got three crash pads. Let's throw them out and make three groups and play this.
As you drop?
Yes, I'm turning about 45 or so degrees to something like so, as I put a sucker on his back. All right, so one more again.
Cool. 3 lines, 3 crash pads.
All right, let's play that. These things, check this out, Keegan. When you grab the guy like this, This is dangerous because when he drops and twists, my fingers get all bound up in there, and then he plants me on my head. So just to make the thing nice to practice, put the alien suckers on him, and he does too. So this happens in Aikido whenever we're doing the dropping thing, and happens in Judo a lot. When you throw the guy down and you fall over and he pulls you down and that sort of thing, that tends to be because we clamp on and I'm still exerting here, right? When I get in a compromised position where I can't move good and then exert against him, then I will fall over, right? So there's no clutching, grabbing, pulling exertion here. It's just tie a rope to him and throw yourself at the earth. All right?
It's almost like a sacrifice.
They're all sacrifices.
Oh, okay. No wonder it's almost like
the whole kata is sacrifices. So play this thing again, another round or so, with the feel of just putting a sucker on him and dropping. You're throwing a grappling hook on him with a rope and dropping. Everybody's played this thing a time or two. In a lot of ways, this thing that our Japanese buddies are doing in their study group is sort of like the kage to Koshiki no kata. It's the shadow behind the kata, and it's like some implications and strange things that can happen in the kata. When we're doing the actual kata, this guy comes up from slightly behind him, wearing armor, tromps over here, grabs him, kicks him in the knee, and tries to do a hip throw. You can start to play timing things, right? If I get here and pick this foot up and he hits the ground, I'm gone, right? So, or what if the timing looks like this? I grab him and he's a little bit slower. He doesn't get his foot on the ground, right? He's going to have a hard time dropping such that he can throw me with this thing. So he shifts this foot behind me. Take a step behind me. All right, so it begins to look like the other side of the kata, right? So this knee kicky thing can be sort of you can do randori here, right? If he's fast enough to hit the ground before I get my foot up, then I do this thing. If I'm fast enough to block him, then he does this thing, all right? The next piece of this thing starts out the same way. I turn my foot toward him, make sure that it's between his feet. I put suckers on his triceps. Stand my other foot outside his feet, and this will be easier for you if you'll line up there. There you go. Once I get here, I sit down. All right. So one more again. All right. Play that. Sort of like the next one. Good. You don't have to bridge back. There's no projection. Eyes are falling every time, right? So it's an introduction to Satemi Waza, but it's also an introduction, like I was talking about at summer, when I had you both hold the belts and do rolls and stuff. It's an introduction to paying attention around you when you're falling down, right? So when we started out, they made us like fall and slap every time the instructor counted each knee sign, and everybody had to be at the same time, not so much to make the instructor feel like he was the cool guy, but so that you had to watch these guys around you as you fell so that you could fall at the same time as them. Well, this is the same thing. You're on every technique except for maybe one. Both guys are falling together, so you have to pay attention to keep from killing each other. All right, the next one, because I'm working with kids, I gave these things my own names, South Mississippi sort of things. This one I call sweeping Legos because you walk through a room and you step on Legos and it's like worse than lava. Where's my, okay. All right, y'all kick the mats to the edge while we're talking about this one. All right, this one, the guy reaches in here to grab my gun or my belt or my sword or whatever, right? The sweeping Legos part is here. I'm clearing everything, my leg included, out of his way so that he has a clear space, no Legos to fall on. All right. And again, these are, if he wants to roll over, that's fine. I don't care what ukemi he does, so long as it's nice ukemi. Flowing, soft, easy. These are not death clutches because that takes him and plants him right on his shoulder blades and it hurts, right? I want him to get to practice some ukemi out of this. So these are the suckers again. They disconnect when they need to. All right? Find you a partner, make sure of the space around you and practice that.
Right out. Go down with him.
Right. This is sort of a reminder to check the space around you. That's where you're going to throw him.
Do you go down with him?
Yeah.
Okay. Here?
Yes.
Right here. That foot first?
The other foot. It's same hand, same foot after that.
And that one.
Mm-hmm. Watch out for the grips.
No good.
Here, check this out. You grab my sword or whatever. Watch out. Good.
Hey. Nice, Peter.
It's your warm up, so don't kill yourself. That last time I did all the turning, right? We got here and I did all the walking around him, swept his space clear and through. This time he's going to do all the turning. All right. All right, the nice safety hint here. After you put your suckers on him and start to fall, you've got to get this arm out from under him or he'll fall on it and whiplash himself. So about the time y'all's butts hit, put your hands over your head. All right? This is a lot like the cross-body balance break. All right, practice that.
Hands on your head.
Let's get the crash pads back for a sec. While I'm preaching this thing, y'all can set those three out, those two. All right, okay. This one, the alien puts his sucker on your left shoulder, his right-handed sucker on your left shoulder. This is another of the sweeping Legos. So this leg kneels back as you hold him to you and draw him into a sort of a Garuma fall. That time I held him up. He puts a sucker on you, you put a sucker on him so that the thing breaks loose when he needs it to. All right, and the feel of this thing is horizontal. The next one is going to be vertical. All right. All right, so again, similar feel to the very first one, where I'm standing here. And when I start to turn, it puts the torque on him and shapes him like a front roll. All right. I put the wrong knee down that time. So it's the knee that's in his way, out of his way. All right. Play that with your partners. And then Nick's going to correct all this.
Yeah, right.
So on this one, I'm starting a little bit over here and maybe turned a little bit here so that when he comes up and puts the hand on me on the first one, I can over-rotate him, demonstrating that Garuma roll. Right? On this one, he comes up to put the alien sucker on me. And I put his elbow on his knee. That was not very graceful. Let me try that again. There we go. So this is more of a cartwheel. It's a little bit more timing dependent. So on the Garuma, you can let him put his hooks on you and then hang out for a while and then do the thing, right, and still sling him. On this one, I might want to start a little bit over here. It's Otoshi. All right, and it's still not clamp and grab like I demonstrated the first time. It is hook on his crease of his elbow and put his elbow on his knee as he puts his foot down. All right, play that and see how you like it. So, put his elbow on his knee as his foot goes down. The first one was Garuma, right? And as I go down, I take his arm with me and it turns him this way, right? On this one, I'm not taking his arm with me. If I grab his arm and pull it with me as I go down, that's another Garuma. Yeah. All right. So this is, as his foot comes down, I get him into this position. All right. So the first one has a horizontal feel, and the second one has a vertical feel. All right. Play that a few more times.